Warren Buffett wrote, and he said there are more millionaires made in real estate than any other industry in the world. I built 22 houses in a year. Net profit that I've made on a house was about 180.
Wow.
Yeah, new construction isn't a game of home runs. It's a game of base hits. I was working as the IT director for 911, and the stress of a particular outage occurrence caused me to have a stroke at the age of 37. I'm leaving a $180,000 a year job to endeavor in entrepreneurship, real estate, something that I've never done. I ended up filing bankruptcy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that feel?
You want to know my honest opinion?
Yeah, go ahead. Give it real
felt-
here. Welcome to the Legacy and Wealth Podcast, a show for proven high-earning men who value wealth, character, and a lasting legacy. Brought to you by The Standard, a private membership community for high performers. My name is Mitchell Clark, and today I'm joined by fellow Standard member, Royce Colley.
Thank you, Mitch.
All right. Let's start off with the first question. How do you currently make money?
Well, I currently make money as a real estate developer as well as a mentor and coach. So I've been building in the DFW area for almost 10 years. I started building latter part of 2015, built well over 100 homes. So that's how I really got into real estate. And then in 2023, I had a vision to open a new construction development school. And so since 23, I've been owning and operating the school.
Okay. What made you want to get into this field?
Well, what really made me want to get into the field, when I was about 26 years old, I read an article that Warren Buffett wrote, and he said there are more millionaires made in real estate than any other industry in the world. And so that kind of stuck with me, right? And so as I grew older, I watched HGTV a lot. Right, DIY. I like doing stuff with my hands, and so
Good Bones.
I figured right on HGTV, they make money in like 30 minutes, right? So I'm working in corporate America. I'm like, hey, I can flip a few houses. I get an hour lunch break, right? I can flip a few houses and make a little money. And so that really intrigued me, just the thought of being able to go in and fix and flip. And so I got into real estate on that notion.
Okay, well, I'm really excited to get into your story because I think there's a lot of mystery and kind of misconceptions about what exactly does that mean getting into real estate.
Right.
I think a lot of people know it's a good investment, but I wanted to talk with someone that had a lot more like subject matter expertise on what exactly do you do and how have you seen other people utilize it successfully versus, the ways that everybody else does it. But let's go into a little bit about how you grew up, what was your formative years like what was kind of the story leading up to eventually getting to what you do now?
Oh, well, I grew up in Dallas. I was born and raised in Dallas. I was raised by a single parent, my mom. My dad was incarcerated till I was like 12 years old, right? I knew who he was, had communication with him while he was incarcerated. And so my mom raised me, right, through those adolescent years. And then my dad got out of jail, and we started to establish a relationship, right? So I have one sister by my mom. And so I was raised in a household, just me, my mom, and my sister, right? And my mom always tried to instill values in me, right? Of course, as a woman, she couldn't necessarily teach me how to be a man, but she did instill in me certain things that I carry with me to this day. So I grew up single parent household, man, and when you come from a single parent household, it's going to do two things for you, right? It's either going to create an excuse or it's going to create motivation. And so I allowed it to create a motivation for me. So even as a young age, I've always been fond of hard work. I used to, in the summertime, when I wasn't in school, I used to go with a couple of gentlemen in my neighborhood who were general contractors. And I learned how to build fences, how to build decks. So I used to work in the summertime with these guys, making money, working with my hands. And I think that's where the desire for construction and all of that stuff came from when I was about 15 or 16 years old.
Okay. Well, we've interviewed a few people on the show that have had similar stories, a little bit of background where a lot of them coming from single family household, I think myself included. I was raised, there was a dad intermittently in different parts of my life, like two different people, but for the most part, I was raised by my mom. And I understand as hard, and as hard as she did to try to instill the best that she could, masculine traits in me, it's tough to do as a woman, growing up in a single family household.
Absolutely.
So
As far as my dad is concerned, when he got out of prison, we started to establish a relationship, right? And, we had a pretty good relationship. I actually lived with him at one point during high school. And so same thing. He's, I think, part of what he instilled in me is where I got my entrepreneurial spirit from.
Okay.
I remember him telling me one time, always have 5 means of income, like 5 streams of income. And I remember him telling me that at like 14. And so
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And so, that is, I think, where I started to kind of figure out what those streams of income were going to be. Like, how was I going to start producing income? So I used to sell candy at school, going to work in the summertime, things like that. Like, I started to develop this entrepreneurial spirit. And so, man, I was probably the hottest candy bar hustler in the school.
There we go.
Right? I sold chips, I sold juice, I sold candy bars.
I'm surprised you didn't stay there, man.
Yeah,
Nah.
you named it, man. I was doing, at that time, back in the day, at 6th and 7th grade, man, you're doing $30, $40 a week. That's pretty good.
That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. Right. So yeah, I started doing that, and so I think from my dad, that's where I got the entrepreneurial spirit from.
Okay, so going through all that, you went through high school. What happened afterwards? What things did you do after that, and what lessons were you taking from your formative years into adulthood?
Well, so graduating high school, I played basketball. I was a really good basketball player.
In high school?
In high school.
Okay.
I was a really good basketball player. Could have went to college, decided not to. Only because I would say there was a lack of the discipline, 100%, right? And so I did not go to college. I ended up going to the military, which was one of the best things that I've probably ever done in life, was decide to go to the military. And so I graduated high school, and a month later, I was off to the military. So I did 10 years in the Navy. And so was able to travel the world while I was in. Still was able to play basketball as well.
In the Navy?
Yeah, played a couple of years overseas in Japan. And so it all worked out the way it was supposed to work out. And so spent 10 years in the Navy as a network engineer. Okay. And so did that and saw a lot of places, man. Been to about 12 to 14 different countries.
What was your favorite country?
Probably Thailand. I would say Thailand or Australia.
Thailand, Australia.
Yeah,
like Thailand to Australia?
Like I've been to 3 parts of Thailand, 4 parts of Australia.
Okay, gotcha.
So either one of those two, they're running neck and neck at 1 and 2.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Was it the basketball there, or what intrigued you about those places?
So some of it was basketball, some of it was work, right?
Okay.
So I was afforded the opportunity to play on a traveling team during basketball season. And so some of that included playing against other countries' national teams. Okay. So I got to play against Australian national team, Chinese national team, Singapore national team, things like that, right?
It's no small feat to play basketball for the Navy. And one thing I've noticed with a lot of high-performing people is there does seem to be like an athletic mindset. It's hard to kind of quantify, but to the best of your ability, how would you quantify an athletic mindset, and how do you feel like that was kind of incorporated into your life as a whole?
The athletic mindset, man, there's certain characteristics you got to have as an athlete, right? And one of those is hardworking. Especially if you want to be good, right? If you want to be good, you have to work at it. Like, you have to work when no one else is working. You have to put in, additional hours when no one else is watching and things like that. And so that mindset transcends into anything you do in life, right? Whether it's business, whether it's personal relationships, they take work. Mm-hmm. And if you have a good work ethic, then anything can work in your favor, right? There's one thing that you cannot put in somebody, and that's work ethic, right? I can be as athletic as possible, as have all the God-given talent in the world, but if I don't have work ethic, then at some point I lose the talent.
Yeah, because I know when you're playing at that level, there's obviously some level of natural-born talent there, but
absolutely.
But what separates those that make it and those that don't. There's a work ethic that has to be. Talent will only get you so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, man, I was a workaholic when it came to basketball.
Okay.
I was going to the gym before work, going to the gym after work. I was in the gym 3 times a day almost. And so how I got to play overseas wasn't through the military. The military led me to the opportunity, but it wasn't in the military.
Okay.
So what happened was I was stationed in Yokosuka, Japan, and I was playing pickup ball in the on-base rec. And there was a guy that walked in, and after one of the games, he approached me and like 2 other guys and was like, hey, do you guys want to try out for an international team?
Interesting. Okay.
Like, cool. Why not? So that international team happened to be part of what was then called the JBL, which was the Japanese Basketball League.
Okay.
And so myself and another guy made the team, and that's how I ended up playing.
Okay.
So
fair enough. Okay, so you're in the Navy doing all that. What happened afterwards?
So I spent 10 years in the Navy doing computer stuff, system administration, network engineering, things like that. I got out of the Navy in 2007. Continued to work corporate America, Fortune 500 companies, a lot of military-related companies, things like that. And I did IT work for an additional 10 years. So I spent 20 years of my life in IT, doing network engineering, system administration, and things like that. And so that was about the time that I really started to pick up entrepreneurial stuff, right? I started having what we call side hustles. Sure. Opened a clothing store. I had an audio visual installation company. Just a whole lot of random stuff, right? That I was looking to just be an entrepreneur, make more money, create opportunities for myself.
Well, so you did all that, and then you got bit by the entrepreneurial bug. Tell me about that transition. How did that transition happen?
Well, I had always been an entrepreneur, right? Even when I was in the military, like I said, I owned a clothing store. I used to sell apparel, things like that. And so even while I was in, just trying to create different avenues of income. And so I decided that I was going to get into real estate in 2015.
Okay.
And it just so happened to be one of those things where I'm up late at night, right? I'm watching TV, this infomercial comes on. Hey, do you want to flip houses like they do on HGTV?
That's right.
And so it goes back to that article that I read when I was 26 about Warren Buffett.
Right.
More millionaires are made in real estate. And so I thought about it like, man, I'm going to go to this workshop, right? So I went to the workshop. I liked what was presented to me in the workshop. And so I ended up joining this networking group. Paid my fee to buy in, joined this networking group, and that's where my real estate journey actually began. They taught me how to owner finance, got into some fix and flips, and that's what started the whole real estate journey for me.
Okay. So now you started while you were doing your corporate jobs and everything else that slowly built up.
Correct.
So what happened during the transition?
So one of the most impactful things that has ever happened in my life, age of 37,
Okay.
I was working as the IT director for 911, and the stress of a particular outage occurrence caused me to have a stroke at the age of 37. And so age of 37, I was hit with this stroke. And thankfully enough, I was in good enough shape that what the doctor said, my body saved me, right? He said if I had been 55 or 60, then I probably wouldn't have made it. But because I was playing basketball 3 or 4 times a week, I was lifting weights, like my body, the conditioning of my body is what lessen the impact of the stroke. And so, it's one of those things where I think I'm doing everything right. I'm working corporate job. I have a really high earning salary. I'm taking care of my kids. Everything is right. And then, boom, something like this happens.
So, going from, this highly athletic, all the success to now suddenly you had this stroke, and how did that take you out for a while? And then how was the recovery coming out of that?
So again, because my body didn't allow it to be as impactful as somebody who was not in as physical shape as I was in, there was not as much impact as it could have been.
Okay.
I was out for about 3 weeks,
Okay.
right, which was phenomenal. The only thing that really happened, I had some blurry vision for a while, things like that, but nothing so impactful that it affected my life long term. The most impactful
goodness.
the most impactful thing about the actual stroke itself was the company that I was working for during the time that I was out waiting to be released to go back to work. They had started soliciting for my replacement.
No.
Yeah,
So that's a double blow within
yeah,
this.
so that was like, I knew I was okay from the stroke, right? But now my pride, my ego, all of that is now taking a hit because I'm like, man, like I just had a stroke and you guys are trying to replace me as if I'm, expendable. And so that was the turning point for me, right? That was the turning point in how I was going to move forward as an entrepreneur, how much focus I was going to put into real estate, and it just became one of those all or nothing type of things.
Was it because you felt like at the end of the day, the people that you were working for didn't care about you as a person, and so if anyone was going to look after you, it had to be you and you only, or what kind of?
Absolutely. So my motto is always bet on myself.
Yeah.
That's my motto. And so it was one of those things where I realized as long as I worked for them, like they have the ability to dictate my livelihood. And so one of the things that I've always chased in life was freedom, right? Time freedom, financial freedom. And so I had a gentleman long time ago tell me that the CEO of a company will never pay you enough to live next door to him.
That's a great quote.
And so, just things that happened in my life allowed me to really see what I needed to do and how I needed to pivot in life. And that stroke was one, along with, the Warren Buffett quote and just understanding, what I wanted to do. It really changed my mind on what I wanted to do.
But you hadn't experienced success as an entrepreneur yet. So my question is like, were you fearful? I mean, you sound really confident now. Obviously, you've had all this success on the back end, but like, was there fear going into it? I mean, what was your mindset with everything going on? Like, okay, you just had a stroke, your health's in jeopardy, you're getting kicked out of a job. I mean, what was going through you and the family's mind?
Man, I'll be lying to you if I tell you that there was not some fear, right?
Sure.
I'm leaving a $180,000 a year job to endeavor in entrepreneurship, real estate, something that I've never done in life. So I'd be remiss to tell you that there was no fear, right? But what I do understand is I only have me, right? And if I set out to accomplish something, then I'm not going to let myself lose, right? I'm not going to let myself fail. And so it was one of those things where I knew what I wanted to do, set out, started doing it.
Okay. Well, so then you got, into real estate. We'll talk a little bit more about, how that journey sort of formed. But I wanted to ask, with everything, you had your dad after he got out, sort of masculine influence, talking about the standard that we're a part of. What made you want to join it in the first place?
What really made me want to join it was seeking a brotherhood, right? So when you get to a certain level of success, your circle gets smaller, right? There are very few people on the level that we're on, the men are in the standard, that can relate to certain things that we go through, right? Whether that's business challenges, personal challenges, emotional challenges, relationship challenges, right? And so I wanted to be connected to a group of guys that were on my same playing field, right? Guys that I could lean on for advice, guys that I could share resources with, guys that I could talk to, share a bond with, grow friendships with, right? All of that stuff is what initially drew me to the standard, because I had been seeking, other communities and things like that. And, when I saw the standard, and it was like, this is it. This fits.
What was one of the biggest things you got from it in terms of of the pillars that you kind of needed some investment into? What are some things you got out of it initially?
Outside of connecting with some really great guys, right? I've established some friendships since being part of the community, but I think more so for me, it was the emotional impact, right?
Okay.
Really being able to meet people that aren't necessarily like me, right? Didn't grow up in the same culture that I grew up in, but we can relate on a certain level of success in business, right? And then we could grow as we communicate, as we bond, as we share certain experiences, we can grow with each other. And now that becomes a friendship. Now that becomes a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to one of my guys, man, that I met in the Standard, Nick, the other day.
Yeah,
So
I know
Nick,
Nick.
really good guy, man.
Very good guy.
He's become actually my business coach since joining the
Okay,
Standard.
yeah.
And so we were having this conversation. I was in his office. We were having this conversation. And I was like, man, it's really good to establish those relationships like we have, because I want people outside of my culture to be able to understand, right, me, and I understand them, and create such a bond that we can have tough conversations just to understand backgrounds and grow in maturity, right? Grow mentally, grow spiritually. And so it's been great, man.
Well, we went through a lot of different stuff, everything from the way you grew up, time in the military, the stroke, your corporate life, going entrepreneurship, taking all that into, your phase of life right now. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned that kind of made you the man you are today? Like, what's the biggest thing you've learned that was kind of carrying you through that entire time?
I am the only one that will be able to fulfill my dreams, right? Like, nobody's giving me anything, right? If I want it, then I have to work for it. If I'm going to have it, then I have to be able to go out and get it myself. Whatever means that is, putting in the work, sweat equity, tears, right? And so I think I live by that motto as, I love working, right? Nothing, I'll work before I do anything. And so I think just that, having that drive, that ambition, and setting goals, and then seeing your goals slowly get checked off the list, right? That does something to me on the inside. And so, I just keep creating more goals to see if I can reach them.
There we go. No, I like that. What do you think is your single best trait that's helped you carry you through?
My single best trait, I'm what we call coachable, right? So
Okay.
I'm an information seeker. So I will take other people that are influences to me or that I see in a category that I want to learn in, and I'm not afraid to ask those questions, right? I'm always looking to learn more. I'm always looking to gain more knowledge, get more insight on certain things. And so I think the willingness and ability to continue to be a life learner, right, is one of my greatest attributes outside of me being dashingly handsome.
There we go. Hey, you know what? That carries its weight too.
Man, being handsome gets you in a lot of rooms, man.
No, I understand your pain. I do not. No, well, it's something that I find that's common with a lot of people is that for people that are the most successful, they have the humility to understand that if you are the best at something within a circle of a community of people, it's not time to necessarily leave that community behind, but you need to find a new one that also challenges in the way that you need to be challenged. If you ever feel like you've reached the top, then, you're just deceiving yourself. There's always a higher level. There's always a way to grow. There's always a place to go into. Yeah. So it's weird because you need to have the confidence to know that you can do it, but the humility to know that you can't do it alone.
You can't do it alone.
Yeah.
100%, man. I there's this quote people say all the time, it's cliche, but they say if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
Right. So I try to be the quietest person in the room because I want to hear what the smartest people are saying so I can soak it up.
If you want to connect with high performers like today's and previous guests, I want to invite you to apply to join the Standard. We are a private membership community that improves the health, wealth, and relationships for six-figure earners who perform at the highest level physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and financially. What we offer is simple. We will give you a vetted local brotherhood of men on your level or above. We will give you a customized plan to build true generational wealth. We will give you a personal liaison to achieve all of your goals. If you are tired of being the most successful person in your circle, frustrated with always pouring into others and not having anyone to pour into you, or you want to have conversations like the ones you're hearing today, in person, on a weekly basis with fellow high performers, go to thestandardmen.com to apply. That's thestandardmen.com. Hit the link in the description below. Now back to the episode. You definitely have a certain area of expertise, so we'll just get right into it. The first question I kind of have for you, again, there's a lot of misconceptions about real estate out there. So tell me about all the things that you have done to try to make money in real estate. And then we'll kind of dissect them all piece by piece. But
Wow. So going back 10 years, man, there's a lot of avenues in real estate. And so I got into real estate thinking that I was going to do fix and flips. And I ended up getting into real estate, and my first couple of projects were what we call owner finance. So did owner finance, I've done fix and flips, I've done wholesale deals, I've done rentals, investment properties, and of course, I've made most of my money in new construction. Okay. And so the only thing that I have not done in real estate from my residential background is be a real estate agent.
okay.
And so because I develop and I don't need a license, then I probably won't ever be a real estate agent. But hey,
There's a lot of real estate agents out
absolutely,
there.
too many.
I agree with you there. Well, okay, so let's start. So you flipped houses. You said owner financing. Let's talk about that for a minute, because I think it was like the first area you went into.
Absolutely.
So what were some of the pros and cons of that? How'd that work out for you?
It worked out pretty well.
Okay.
You really have to understand how owner financing works.
Yeah. What is owner financing?
So owner financing is where, in simple terms, I become the bank for a home buyer who cannot go and get a traditional financing from a bank to purchase a home, right? So what a owner financing transaction looks like. I may go out and I may purchase a home or agree to purchase a home from a seller who is behind on taxes. They may be looking to move. They may need home repairs and can't afford them. So I will go in, I will negotiate to be able to purchase that house. But the key is, if that house is already under a mortgage, if they're already financing that home, then what I want to do is, as an investor, is I want to come in and take over their notes, right? I don't want to have to go get new bank lending, right? So if a person has been in a house 20 years and they're financing that home over 20 years, they've paid a lot of that debt off,
Sure.
right? And they probably have a really low interest rate. So what I want to do as an investor, I want to come in and take over that note so that I don't have to go get new financing, right? Now, once I agree to take over that note, we come to terms, and maybe those terms are I give you $40,000, or I pay off your back taxes, or whatever the case may be, however we negotiate it. Now that I'm in control of that property, I am now the bank. So what I do is I now solicit for a buyer that cannot go and receive traditional bank funding. Like, they, for whatever reason, they may be self-employed. They don't have enough check stubs to qualify, or they may have a bankruptcy on their credit, or they may have bad credit. They cannot go get traditional financing. So me, as the owner of this house now, I can now create my own lending terms for them. And usually what that looks like is they'll come to the table and they'll pay a larger down payment to be able to get into the house because they do have bad credit. So now, whereas, say for instance, Bank of America is the underlying mortgage company. Now what I'm doing is I'm doing what's called a wrap note. So I am now taking my leverage over this property, creating an additional note on top of Bank of America's note, and then I'm selling it to this end buyer. Right? Now, the benefit to owner finance is this: it's not a rental. They're actually purchasing the home from me. But it functions as a rental when it comes to passive income. So my underlying mortgage to Bank of America, say, is $800 a month. Well, if I got a buyer and my terms to them are $1,800 a month, I'm making $1,000 a month on passive income, and I don't have to tend to toilets or any of that because they own the house.
So do you need to get do you have to have some money in your account to kind of function as the bank, or how is that working?
So you don't have to have any money in your account, but what you have to do, depending on your negotiation tactics, if they want money up front, if the seller wants money up front to allow you to take control of that, then you have to be able to fulfill that obligation.
Okay.
Right?
So you had to go into it with a little bit of cash on hand.
Yeah, a little
Okay,
bit of
yeah,
cash,
sure.
not anything major. And
Okay.
and there are different negotiation tactics where you might pay them, say, 10 grand, and then you pay them the remaining 10 grand. If you have a $20,000 agreement,
Yeah.
you might pay them 10 grand on monthly interest payments until they reach the remaining 10 grand, right?
Okay.
That works as well. So it just depends on how you negotiate with the seller. And then you create a set of terms for the buyer that's usually higher than the interest rate and higher than the term for what you're going to sell that house for.
It sounds like something that you would need to have a decent amount of subject matter expertise to get into to pull that off successfully. The first time you did it work as simply as how you described it?
Well, I had a mentor.
Okay.
So I had a mentor who taught me the game.
Was he part of that that networking event that you went
Absolutely.
to? Okay.
100%.
So you got someone that knew what they were doing, kind
Absolutely.
of coaching you through the whole
100%.
time. Okay, awesome.
He had over 200 doors that were owner finance.
Okay.
And so he kind of taught me the game. And there are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of intricate details to having to get approval for the buyer, even though they don't have good credit or they may have went through bankruptcy, and then having what we call a servicing company to be able to service the payments from the buyer to you, to the seller. Like there's a lot of intricate details into it.
Yeah. I was going to say, it doesn't sound like something you can just walk into unless you know what you're doing.
Nah, they not teaching that on HGTV for sure.
No, definitely not. No, it's funny. Me and my wife used to watch HGTV all the time until we started doing our own house renovations.
Yeah.
Now I can't even do it without stressing it out. We just got finished our bathroom remodel. I'm like, nope, I don't want to think about that.
Nope. Yeah.
So how long did you do that specific game for?
So I did that for about a year.
Okay.
So between owner finance and fix and flip was my first year in real estate.
How well did you do with that year?
Because I was partnering with people in the network, I was able to flip 7 houses my first year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how much you made overall from that?
First houses, because I was a rookie, right? Just kind of learning.
Yeah.
I didn't make a lot of money. It was more so sweat equity.
Okay.
But I was partnering with experienced investors that were in the community, and they were just really kind of showing me the game.
Sure.
So I really didn't make a lot of money. I didn't start really making money in real estate until I started building houses.
Okay.
That's when I started making
That's when you
money.
started- okay.
That's when I started making the big bucks.
That's good. All right. You made something though. You didn't
for
get
sure.
broke the first year. Okay. So you started there, and then did you go right into development afterwards?
Yeah, so because I was flipping houses, what I was doing at the same time was I was collecting a database or Rolodex of the contractors and trades that I was using. And so I decided that I was going to start doing like remodels and stuff for people.
Okay.
Because I still didn't have a lot of money to put toward real estate. Remember, at this time now, I've left my job, so I'm unemployed technically.
Sure.
And so I didn't have a lot of money to put toward real estate. And so what I started doing was advertising as a general contractor, remodeling bathrooms, like you said, during renovations and things like that. And so I put together a good little crew of trades and started doing construction. And so I've always wanted to build a house. And so I said, I'm going to take these guys, I'm going to learn how to build a house.
Wait, so you started remodeling existing homes and then kind of built that into building your own? Okay.
Absolutely. So I took my renovation crews and turned it into a construction company.
Got it. Okay.
Right. So all of my trades, I had to go pick up a couple of other trades, but my painter, my roofer, my mason guy, like I put those together like, hey, somebody needs a roof, guess who can do it? I can. Calling my roofer, he go do it, I make money, right? And so did that until I found my first lot.
Okay. So how long did it take till you found your first lot?
It took me about a year and a half. So kind of at the end of that first year of flipping, I started looking for my first lot and found it.
Well, I mean, you did some remodeling in that as a general contractor. I know a lot of general contractors make pretty good change. I mean, how did that work out for you?
Yeah, it was pretty good. So making a little bit of money, on doing roofs. I may make $4 or $5 grand here, might make $8 or $9 grand here. So it was pretty good.
Okay.
But again, at that time, I'm unemployed. I still have a wife and kids. So most of that money is going toward paying bills.
Sure.
So although I was making money, I was not necessarily seeing the money because I'm paying bills.
It was just enough to keep everything above water.
It was enough to keep everything above water, but because I was still so heavily involved in real estate, trying to make something work, I actually went into debt because I was unemployed. So 2017, one of those situations where I have a lot of heavy credit card debt because I'm, paying bills with the credit card and paying car notes with the credit card and, trying to buy groceries and all of that with credit cards. So end of 2018, I was in debt, almost 90 grand.
Okay.
And the money that I was making was not enough, right, to cover that debt. So I ended up filing bankruptcy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that feel?
You want to know my honest opinion?
Yeah, go ahead. Give it real here.
Great.
Really?
It felt great.
That is an interesting take on that. Explain a little more.
Listen, the bankruptcy was the most pressure relieving thing that ever happened. Right?
Yeah.
You don't understand what it's like to have 10 calls a day and they all want money.
Okay.
And then as soon as you file bankruptcy, all the calls stop.
I guess explain to people, because when people hear bankruptcy, end of the world, whatever, but what exactly does that mean?
So I had $90,000 worth of credit card debt, right? When I filed bankruptcy, and I filed Chapter 7. So when I filed bankruptcy, what it did was it eliminated all of that consumer debt. So one day I owe people $90,000. The next day, I don't owe anybody anything. And so that allowed a lot of pressure to be lifted off my shoulders.
Okay.
Right? So now it's like, okay, I don't owe anybody any money. What can I start doing now to start rebuilding my life from a bankruptcy?
Okay.
And so that's where the building started to happen.
All right. So you got through that, and now you're moving on to the next phase.
Yes.
So this is where, what did it take for you to get a lot?
Well, what happened was because I had did such a good job during my fix and flip phase, I had investors inside of that same community that I joined who were willing to lend me money.
Okay.
And so I reached out to a couple of investors. I was like, look, I want to learn how to build a house. Like I want to get into building now.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to lend me some money? They were like, yeah.
Okay.
No problem. So I started searching for a lot, ended up finding a lot that was owned by a lady who had her house demolished during a tornado. And so she was behind on taxes, about 13 grand. Okay. And so reached out to her, negotiated an agreement to pay off the back taxes for her. She agreed, and so I purchased that lot for the amount of the back taxes, which was about 13 grand. Okay. And so my obligation to my investors was that I was going to give them 15 grand in return in about 30 days. So they let me borrow 13, and in 30 days they were going to get 15 back.
How big was the lot?
About 6,000 square feet or so. Okay. So not large.
But something.
Yeah, something enough to build a house on.
Okay.
Right? And I think my very first house was 2,100 square feet, 2,200 square feet, something like that.
Okay. So you got a loan for 13, and you made a promise within 30 days to flip it over into a 15K. Okay. Mm-hmm. What did you do it's a $2,000 appreciation, I would assume. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. So what I did at that point when I secured the lot is I went to another investor. Okay. And said, hey, I have this lot over here. Would you be interested in building a house with me, being my partner? Okay. Right? And so I said, I have to pay off the lot. The lot is 15 grand. Mm-hmm. He said, okay, the lot is 15 grand. How much is a house? It cost me about $144,000 to build a house. Okay. So, we set out on the agreement to build that very first house. He gave me the 15 to pay off my investors. So now we own the lot free and clear. Okay. I built the house, had some challenges building the house. I think my timeline for building that house was 6 months. I went 9 months. My budget.
As what happens with all construction projects.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So My budget was $144,000. I ended up going $19,000 over budget.
Okay.
And I thought I was going to make about $30,000 on that deal. I ended up making about $3,218 on that deal. So
At least it was above.
It was above. Yes, it was definitely above. But when you look back at it, 9 months of work to make $3,218 doesn't feel like an accomplishment.
Okay.
But one of the realizations that I had was that I now have a skill that no one can take from me.
Because you took, even though you only got 3,200, you still did it from start to finish. You're like, okay,
Absolutely.
I know the process.
Absolutely.
Now I can optimize it next time and fix all the faults that I had the first
Absolutely.
time I did. Okay.
And one of my mottos is I never lose, right? I never lose. I either learn or I get better.
Okay.
Right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I have. And so I didn't look at it as a loss. I learned how to build a house. So now, because I've learned how to build a house, now what? I get better at building houses. And that's exactly what I did.
What were some of the things the first time you did the build that you're like, okay, next time I'm going to fix this, 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 and this? Like, what were some of the biggest lessons you took from that first development?
My biggest one was how to control a budget, right?
Okay.
I went $19,000 over budget. The reason I went $19,000 over budget is because I didn't negotiate or I didn't request multiple bids from trades. Because I was so excited to build a house, whatever price they gave me, well, I got to get it done. Let's do it. Whatever price they gave me, boom, let's do it. And so what I realized after the bill was there are a lot of items that I paid for that I overpaid.
Okay.
Right? So next couple of houses, now I was controlling the budget. I was negotiating with trades, right?
Okay.
I was looking at cost comparisons. What is it? What are you charging me? What is he charging me? What is he charging me? Now I'm understanding how to look at the budget a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was the biggest thing. And then learning the process, understanding how to schedule certain things.
Okay.
When to schedule the next trade, when to schedule
So you can kind of compress that timeline a little
Absolutely,
bit.
absolutely.
Okay, so you're making about 34. And how many did you do that second year? So 9 months for the first lot. So let's go like another year and 3 months. How many were you doing? You said 5 kind of simultaneously?
So I did 5. Yeah, I did 5. My next series was 5. So I was building 5 at one time.
Did that also help since you had a crew and 5? That way if one trade's kind of just sitting here in the corner, hey, you guys get to work over here, you get over here. Did it help having multiple projects?
It did.
Okay.
It did for a number of reasons. Number one, because I can negotiate price, right?
Okay.
So if I tell a trade, say I tell my framer, right, I have 5 houses for you to frame versus 1. Now I can negotiate because it's a volume play,
Okay.
right? And so that's where understanding how to control the budget comes in at, because I can present 5 projects, which means they know they're going to be working for 5 projects. Now they're more likely to give me a cheaper price on my framing. And so it really helped in a number of ways because it allowed me to be able to understand how to manage multiple projects at a time, what to look for. And then it allowed me to start creating systems that would make my building easier.
Okay.
Right? And so that's where it started, man. And, started going up and up and up.
Up and up and up. All right. At the peak of this, what would you say would be the peak? Well, I mean, I'm assuming you're still going for your peak. Or what is your best kind of performance that you're the most proud of right now in this realm?
I was building 15 houses at one time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't remember what year it was, but I built 22 houses in a year.
Man, and all averaging 30, 40K
Yeah,
a term?
so some of them were for other investors who were building for their portfolios, and then some of them were my own personal projects. Okay. And so it was just a mixture. It ranges from, I've made the highest net profit that I've made on a house was about 180.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was a pretty big house.
Yeah, it was. It really wasn't the house. It was really the market, right?
Okay.
And so I ended up getting the lot at a really discounted price.
Okay.
And so it was the market at the time, me getting the lot. It just all worked out. The lot at a really discounted price. Somebody was trying to get rid of it. I didn't pay full value for it. Built the house, and the market supported what I was trying to build. So it allowed me to be able to achieve that number.
Okay. Well, I think we've established your credibility at this point. I mean, shoot, I want to go out there and start flipping houses.
Let's do it, man.
Actually,
I got a lot of projects for you right now.
sounds good, man. Hey, listen, I can paint, that's about all I can.
That's all we need.
I painted my whole house from top to finish.
How long did it take you?
Oh my goodness. Well, it was all kind of piecemealed. So like our entire downstairs, I think I knocked out cumulatively in about a week.
Okay.
Upstairs,
Okay.
a little less than. I mean, yeah.
All right, Mitch. You're gonna have to get better on your time in the work.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, maybe I'm not as good as I think. I'll leave it to the professionals as yourself. Well, I wanted to ask you, we'll kind of go into some opinions, because again, I hear a lot of real estate influencers out there giving their 2 cents on like how do you get in real estate and how you do all these things. So, a couple questions. One thing I've also heard is, for people that'll get like a big lot where they're building like a neighborhood, let's say it's like, 10 or so, rather than building a bunch of starter homes, they'll build like a few. So instead of like 10 starter homes, it'll be like 6 or 7 like bigger luxury homes because the margin of those are bigger. Is that always the case across the board, or what's your 2 cents on that?
No, it really just depends on preference, right?
Okay.
And this is what I tell individuals that come through my program, right? New construction isn't a game of home runs. It's a game of base hits, right?
Okay.
And what I mean by that is there's a lot of mechanics that go into building a house successfully. And there are very few individuals that can step up to home plate the very first time, never stepped up to home plate before, and knock it out the park.
Sure.
Right? You may have it here and there,
Yeah.
right? But there are very few individuals that can step up to the plate the very first time and knock it out the park.
Yeah, have some repetition. in
Absolutely.
there, yeah.
You have to understand the details that go into building a house. You have to understand how to manage money, right? There are a lot of people in this world who don't understand the discipline that you have to have when the bank sends you 60, 70 grand at one time. They've never seen that amount of money before.
Sure.
And to know that it's coming consistently over the term of 4, 5, 6 months, right? They don't understand how to manage money. They don't understand how to manage people, right? There's a lot of trades that are hired.
All with distinct personalities. Plumbers are different than electricians.
From all
Yeah.
over. Like I have trades from Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico. Like they're all over, everywhere, right? And so you have to understand how to manage people too, right? You have to understand timing, scheduling. You have to understand material. You have to understand the whole 9. And people who get into real estate the very first time, what they assume is concrete foundation, wood, roof, my house is built.
Sure.
It's a lot more that goes into building a house than that. And when they actually get into it, then they see all of the moving parts that if one thing is off, then it throws everything else off in the house. And so that's what I try to relay to the individuals that come through the program. Like, focus on the base hits.
Okay.
Get from home plate to first base first.
Okay.
Then work on getting from first base to second base to third base. Now, when you've got a completed house and it's sold, go back and look at every challenge you had and every successful thing that you did and make it better for the next time.
So what you're saying is like for people that have a certain strategy about building on lots, it kind of depends on like what were their base hits that led to their success. And like, oh, this is working for me. So this is what, okay.
For sure.
I wanted to also ask, it's a very popular thing now with a lot of crowdsourcing for like apartment complexes. Like I've seen this, especially here in North Dallas, you have luxury apartments to the point where the term luxury apartments, like if it's an apartment, it's a luxury. Like the terminology doesn't necessarily mean as much as it did versus, commercial real estate. I mean, what are some considerations? Do you think like one could possibly be more, I guess, lucrative than the other? Like if you had 10 acres and you had the opportunity to either put apartment complex, commercial or residential, what's your thought process going behind that?
I'm probably going to do some sort of commercial.
Okay.
Right? Commercial is always more lucrative than residential.
Okay.
And when I say some sort of commercial, so you have commercial multifamily, which are apartments, right? And then you have commercial, which are like buildings and strip malls and things like that, right? So I would do some type of commercial. I would do large apartment complexes, 100, 200 doors, right? Because I have the opportunity to make more money over a longer period of time consistently than I do for single family homes.
Okay.
Even with strip malls, right? I have the opportunity to, based on cap rates and things like that, I have the ability to make more money renting out a building that I own to a franchise, a Little Caesars, a nail shop, a washateria, something like that,
Okay.
right? Over a longer period of time. Usually those leases are 10 years or so. So I have a consistency to make that money versus residential.
So my question to you, because a lot of people would say that, I know during the COVID epidemic, commercial real estate in general took a massive hit because no one, was working in these offices for a long time. What's your mindset around that? Do you think that was just kind of a fluke? Do you think commercial real estate's kind of run its course a little bit? Or do you think that was just like a small blip on the radar to an otherwise pretty lucrative structure?
Yeah, I think COVID created an anomaly.
Okay.
Right? It was one of those things where you didn't expect it to happen and nobody accounted for it, so it was hard to adjust, right? Markets go through cycles. Every 7 to 8 years, it goes through a cycle, right? So the end of cycle from 2008 when the housing market crashed, and then it came back about 2017, and it lasted till about 23, 24. Now you see higher interest rates. So it's all a cycle, right? And it really just depends on what the market is telling you during that cycle, right? Right now, the market is at 6.25%. That's
Sure.
really a high interest rate,
Yeah.
which means there are people who are not going to buy houses during this time because the interest rates are high. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to go rent. So now you see a lot of apartment buildings
Sure.
being built because now people are going to rent. Once the interest rates go back down to 3 or 4, guess what happens? Now people have saved up enough money, they're going to go buy a house.
Okay.
It's just a cycle, up and down.
So for commercial, do you see a bit of a resurgence, a bounce back from that, from the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, I think the market right now is in what we call a retracement. So it went down. Now it's coming back balanced right now.
Okay.
Right, where things are starting to pick up. Right, more home sales, more homes are being built, more apartments are being built. Right,
Sure.
so now it's on a retracement to where it's almost like a rubber band. It's always ebb and flow. It's up. It's down, it's up, it's down, right? And I think we're kind of at that point to where it's balancing out now, and we're kind of getting to that even point.
I've noticed that there's a lot of like luxury apartments that are not being filled as much, primarily just because there may have been an overbuilding of sorts. Do you think there is that, or do you think the market's just in this little moment where it's just a little bit of a lull right now, but you think it's going to pick back up here soon?
Yeah, it's definitely going to pick back up.
Okay.
Like it's definitely going to pick back up. I mean, you really have to understand how the real estate market is affected by generations, right? So you got millennials, you got Gen X, you got these people who are graduating high school. Guess what? Some of them want to live in their first apartment. They're going to go seek a first apartment,
Yeah.
right? Those that are graduating high school, going to college for the first time, they're going to want to live on their own to experience that freedom of living on their own. Then you have those who've lived in a house for 20 years, right? All their kids have graduated. They may be single. They're going to find an apartment, less stressful, less responsibilities, right? So it's always going to be a variation, right? It's going to be up, it's going to be down.
Sure.
You're going to have an influx of people moving in apartments. You're going to have an influx of people moving out of apartments. Every day we have, I don't know, tens of thousands of people moving to Texas.
Yeah.
It's like that around the world. So, as more people move in, more people are going to want to rent, they're going to want to buy, right? It just depends on where they are, what the market is dictating.
No, that makes sense. Because I know there's a lot of confusion that's kind of around that sometimes, but you're looking at it as a whole. Like, yeah, there's these blips here and there, but if you're looking across like a longer time horizon. Well, something I wanted to ask you as well was, you were talking about, different style of homes and whatnot that you build. You've gotten a lot more experience now building multi-million-dollar homes as opposed to, million or sub-million. Tell me what are the differences in building a multi-million-dollar home as opposed to just $1 million home?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say multi-million-dollar homes, right? So there's really no difference in an affordable, million, multi-million, right? What it's about is leverage. understanding what's the best use of your time that's going to allow you to be able to grow in those areas to create a million or multi-million dollar product. And what I had to learn, early on is I cannot do everything, right? There's a time factor there. And the more time I spend doing the $20 an hour job, the less time that I have to actually build the business to create millions or multi-millions. And so it's more so about leverage and then understanding how your time needs to be spent in creating those multi-million dollar opportunities.
Okay. How is it hard getting lots for something like that, or what do you typically look for whenever you're building something like that?
What we do is we usually look at what we call comparables, right? So we select different markets, different pockets that will allow us to build a product that compares to another product on that scale.
Okay.
Right. So I have a couple of projects going on right now in the West Dallas, Trinity Groves area. Those are $1 million products, right? But those homes over there are selling for a minimum $850,000. Some of them are selling for 1.6, 1.7, right? And so we kind of look for those pockets that we can take a home, have a desired outcome for it, and know that if we build something, then we have the likelihood of selling because other homes have sold in that area.
Okay. Is there any change with, just with the scale of it and getting all the different trades involved? Or is it literally just the same thing, but just slightly scaled up a little more?
Man, you'll be surprised. There's a lot more detail that goes into $1 million product, right? Versus an affordable housing, $400,000, $500,000 product.
Yeah.
There's a lot more attention to detail, right? Because the finishes are different. The finishes cost more, right? Your budget is more. Yeah. And so those are some of the more upfront variations, but the process of building $1 million home is the same as building a $400,000 home, right? There may be some details in there like wall texture and things like that that may be different, but the same trades are going to utilize, their skill to do the same thing. And so my foundation guy that does my $400,000 houses are my same guy that does my $800, $900 million houses. So it's all about the process.
Well, you talked about the details, because I imagine for the kind of customers that are looking for those, they're a lot more detail oriented. They want something very, very specific. What are some details that you've seen that really make a house like shine more than the others?
One of those things, man, there are a couple things in a house that really make a house pop, right? Those are, you probably heard it before, kitchens and bathrooms, right? Making the kitchen really functional, right? Having top tier appliances, right? Making it really different. So you might have different variations of cabinets, a different style island, maybe an island that has the lighted quartz or something like that, making it really different, making it functional, making it large enough to entertain, things like that. Appliances, maybe having a second kitchen, maybe like a prep kitchen in the back of your front kitchen, right? Something like that. And then in the bathroom, just being able to produce a space that almost gives you that spa-like feel when you walk in. Very large shower, rain heads.
Gotta have a
falling
rain
down,
shower, yeah.
Multiple sprayers, like multiple sprayers on the wall, very large soaker tub, things like that, right? Floating cabinets, marble floors, polished porcelain floors, things like that make it really feel like you're not at home, like you're a home away from home type of deal. And so those are some of the things that I found, just adding different variations. They don't necessarily have to be expensive, right? That's what people don't understand. Like a lot of custom things you do in a house don't necessarily have to be expensive, but they could give the luxury look while being inexpensive, like lighted staircases, things like that, right? Doing a dog wash in your mudroom. Like those things don't cost much to install. But from a buyer standpoint, if I have a dog, it only makes sense. I want to wash my dog in the dog wash versus outside or in the tub, right? Okay. And so having a dog wash in your laundry room or in your mud room, maybe putting washer and dryer connections in the master, like build a a washer and dryer stackable connection in your master, so you don't have to travel upstairs or downstairs or across the house to wash clothes if you have a large master. Like those things.
It sounds like you're focusing on the experience of going through the house, especially when it's a little bit bigger. It's like,
Absolutely.
how does your day-to-day get even just more streamlined and more luxurious?
Absolutely. Like putting steam showers in your shower, right?
Okay.
Yeah, like you have a lot of people that go to the gym. They want to sit in the sauna. They want to sit in the steam room. Well, we can put those in a shower.
Okay.
And so now you have a built-in steam room in your master shower.
Okay.
That's one of those things that people like.
So I also heard recently that you had gotten a special award, Builder of the Year, apparently. I've heard through the grapevine. So is that true?
Yes, that is true. There is an organization called the Cosign. It's actually a magazine, Cosign Magazine. And so they nominated me along with a few other developers in the city, and I was nominated. And
Excellent.
I won, Developer of the Year by the Cosign.
When did that happen?
This was in December.
So very recently.
Yeah, very recently, just a couple months ago.
Hot off the press. That's incredible. How so do they do that every year?
Yes, they do that every year.
Okay.
So what it is, they do the awards, and the awards is based on entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Right. So every category is based on entrepreneurship through a variety of industries. Right. So it might be fitness, it might be real estate, it might be taxes, it might be a whole number of things. And so, yes, it was a blessing to be nominated and be able to win Developer of the Year.
I'm sure that's some pretty good exposure as well, generally speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So now that that's happened, I mean, have you heard of like what happens when people build this? Do you normally get more exposure, or do you think you'll get more business, or?
Yeah, so usually it comes with more exposure,
Yeah.
right? People know your name, they know who you are, outside of, just the normal real estate people,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it has kind of, garnered more attention from those who aren't connected to real estate, and kind of gave me the opportunity to be able to, show off my program to other people.
Okay, sounds great. Well, because we have a lot of people watching that are going to be relatively more higher net worth individuals that, they want to get into it, but maybe they don't necessarily want to flip houses and get their hands there as well. For some people that want to invest in the market and kind of get into it a little bit, what would be your advice for them getting in?
Well, I would say this, not because it's me and my program, right? But what I would say is find someone or something that has a proven system for getting returns. Real estate is one of those things that's always going to produce a return, right? The reason I say that is I've never built a house for more than I could sell it,
Okay.
right? Regardless, I've never built, even if I get the minimum amount sales price, it's still going to be more than what it cost me to build it.
It costs,
right?
yeah.
And so you have to find an opportunity that's going to make sense for you based on your risk threshold, how much money you're willing to inject into the investment, right? And then what your time frame is for when you want your return. Real estate isn't one of those quick things, right? Especially if you're into developing raw land or multifamily or something like that. That's not one of those quick things. Now, we build houses in 120 days.
That's pretty fast as far as real estate timelines.
Yeah,
concerned.
absolutely. But even with that, we still don't guarantee an investor a return on investment for 9 to 12 months.
Okay.
Just because it's things that we can't predict. We can't predict the market.
You build it, but no one's necessarily living in it in 120 days. Yeah.
Right. No one's bought it. If it's a for sale house, then no one's bought it in 120 days. We can physically construct it vertical 120 days, but that doesn't mean it's going to sell in 120 days. Right. Okay. And so for the investor understanding, it's a number of things that they have to consider when they are investing in real estate. And one of those things is what is it that you want to invest in? Do you want to invest in single-family residential? Find a builder, invest a little money in the builder, get a return on investment. Do you want to go into one of those large-scale syndications like you talked about with apartments? Do you want to invest in a strip mall, right? There's a number of ways you could.
How do you find someone? Because everything I've heard is mainly like real estate investment trusts or funds, whatever, REITs. But how do they find somebody that's kind of in this, like finding somebody that's doing what you're doing? Like if I was an investor right now with like 5 million, I'm looking for someone like you to try to start getting some good returns on that. Like how do you even find someone like that?
Man, it's tough. There are multiple ways. Like there are networking groups out there specifically designed to solicit private money. And then it's also word of mouth. Like, what are you doing consistently that you're letting people know about? Like, everybody knows I'm a builder. Right. So when I have some of my celebrity friends or my professional athlete friends, they're looking for investment opportunities. They know I build houses. Guess where they're coming? They're coming to me. Right. And so it's just a matter of really exposing your network to what it is that you do and then being consistent in what it is that you do. Because if I built one house and all people saw me build one house over the last 10 years, it's not a consistent enough outcome for them to want to give me money. But because they've seen me build hundreds of houses, now they see me teach people how to build houses. Now they know I'm the house guy.
Sure.
Right. And so,
especially if one of them, you got a $180,000 profit margin, I mean, that's incredible. So
absolutely.
Hundreds, how many have you done at this point? Do you know?
113.
Or 13. Yeah. Okay. Haven't lost money on any of them.
I'm not going to say I haven't lost money. I've never been in a negative, but there have been properties where if somebody told you they never lost money,
maybe, but probably not. Yeah.
Right.
Or they haven't learned a lesson yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I say I haven't lost money, I have not physically lost money, but I built houses that didn't sell. Then I had to turn them into rentals. Those rentals did not create me passive income, so they're breaking even. Okay. So I haven't necessarily lost money like in what I did. The only time that I was lost money in real estate was hiring a bad contractor. Okay. And that was about a $50,000 lesson.
I have also lost money hiring a bad contractor. Yeah. So the pain is not just yours.
Expensive lessons, man.
Yes, they are.
Expensive lessons.
Yes, they are. Well, talking about within the standard, we talk a lot about legacy, and real estate's definitely one of those fields where it's easy to build, like, because it's a physical, tangible asset that you can see. But from your perspective, just kind of working with investors and everything else, what does the term legacy mean for you, especially considering you have a family and everything else?
For me, legacy means being able to leave something on earth that impacts someone else in a way that creates a positive outcome, right? My school has graduated over 700 builders. And some of these individuals are people who didn't initially think that they could build a house. Yeah. Right? Now they've come through the program, they've built a house, they can see now that they have the ability, right? And so they have the confidence. They have we say we not only build houses, we also build people. Yeah. Right? Mentally, emotionally, financially, right? And so the legacy for me, not only for my children, right? But it's for the other people that I'm connected to, that I leave an impact on when I'm gone or when they build their first house.
For that school, are they working primarily on some of the projects that you're working on, or how do they get experience learning the lessons there?
So my school, it's called the Gentleman Builder Development Institute. Okay. Right? And we are the only new construction development school that is a fully immersive school, which means in the military, we call it on-the-job training. They learn how to build a house live on site for 120 days. So when you enroll in the school, we have a 16-week builder development program that you go through. This program is designed for you to get on-site experience through the entire construction process. Okay. Right? It's broken down into...
So they can actually see it going, not just they're learning a classroom learning from a PowerPoint. It's like, I see an empty lot. There's cement, there's plumbing, there's like they get a 100%. Bit of confidence seeing it happen in real time.
100%. Okay. So they're there from day one buying the dirt to day 120 where they're doing a punch list warranty walk for the buyer who bought the house and everything in between. So I tell them all the time, listen, if you're going to wear those pretty designer shoes, just be prepared for them to get cement on them because we're going to be pouring concrete live on site. And so they're able to get everything from not only the construction piece, but they also learn tax liabilities. They learn entity structure, how to set up your company correctly, right? They learn everything, balance sheets, profit and loss statements, a whole slew of things that they learn coming through the program.
They learn the business of it
absolutely,
as well.
because what we want to do is, my goal is to not only teach them how to be builders, but how to run successful construction companies.
Have you heard of Justin Waller?
I have not.
You have not? Okay. He's another influencer guy, but he got his fortune from similar in construction. I think he started off with hanging steel primarily. I think that's what he does primarily, is hanging steel, but he's mainly in construction. But you know, he has a strong heart for like the trades. He's like, and I've started to see this a lot too, particularly with the trades, where there is a lack of men that know how to work with their hands. Right. And so it's funny, back in like 20, 30 years ago, whatever, everyone's like, oh, you got to go to college, you got to learn how to work a computer, which, you need to have some knowledge. But there seems to be this gap of people that know how to weld, how to plumb, how to do all these different things. And now it's kind of fun.
Electrical.
I've actually heard, so my brother's actually looking for work and he wants to get into a trade, but the trade schools are pretty booked up. It's getting very popular, especially amongst Gen Z.
That's because trades get paid a lot of money, man.
Yeah, they do.
I pay my trades a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it's like, those are things that, again, that's that legacy. Like, you can pass on how like you say, how to plumb, how to run electrical. Like, those are things that can be passed on from generation to generation, and you can carry that on. Because there's one thing for sure. There's always going to be houses or buildings being built, and they all require the same thing. They all require electrical. They all require concrete. They all require plumbing. They all require HVAC. They all require roofs. Yeah. All of those things are never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so once you can learn that trade and insert yourself into that business or that industry, you should be able to work forever.
Man, sign me up. I'm there.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
I'll build you a house in 120 days by myself. I'll do all the trades. I'm just kidding.
Let's do it, man. Yeah, I'm going to hire you.
Let's get it. No, look, this was really useful. And I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of this. If people do want to look into you for either for development or even for the school, how can they get plugged in to find out more about your business?
So anything The Gentleman Builder, that's my moniker. That's what people know me as. That's what I go by. So they could Google The Gentleman Builder. They can go to the website, thegentlemanbuilder.com, YouTube, The Gentleman Builder, Instagram, The Gentleman Builder. Everything is The Gentleman Builder.
The Gentleman Builder.
Everything is The Gentleman Builder. So that will give them all the information they need about the school, about the program, investment opportunities, so on and so forth.
Okay, sounds great. Well, hey, look, I really appreciate having you on here. I learned a lot. I benefited a lot from this. I'm probably going to start Googling this when I get home myself, but I appreciate it, and I'll see you at the next standard event.
All right, thanks, Mitchell. I appreciate it.
Sir.
Thank you.